In the last week, you and your chief financial officer have taken to the press and laid the blame squarely on low-paid retail bank employees. And while I don't excuse what they did by any stretch of the imagination, I find that despicable.
And that member of the Senate Banking Committee joins us now exclusively, Bob Menendez of New Jersey. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
It's good to be with you.
There were a lot of revelations today, but what was perhaps the most stunning reveal for you?
Well, I don't know where to begin. I guess the most stunning is that I thought that Mr. Stumpf was going to come with a whole different presentation, and basically the depth of not only clarity, the depth of ownership, the depth of how long they waited before they acted and told their regulators, the fact that he still would not admit that their practices created a pressure cooker situation that led these 5,300 employees to do what they did was pretty outstanding. And the depth that he won't comment about the responsibility he or the lady who ran this division of Wells Fargo has as it relates to what happened.
Senator, he was in essence saying that once they discovered the behavior, they worked to fix it. But he was sure to say he wasn't a part of it. He also said in the last couple of days during another interview, not with us, because he won't talk to us, we're going to be throwing more hardballs at him, but the company didn't reveal the investigation in SEC filings because it, quote, wasn't material. How can that not be material? 5,300 employees fired due to behavior that affected 2 million accounts.
Well, I pursued that line of questioning in my second round. Not material. Well, once it's become public, look at the material consequences for shareholders and the devaluation of the stock since this became public. And it just goes to the lack of transparency and responsibility here that Mr. Stumpf has and that the superiors, the senior executives in the company have, and his unwillingness not only to take responsibility for himself, but to subscribe it to the person who was the leader of this pressure cooker that created 2 million accounts that weren't called for, many of which I've heard from New Jerseyans who've told me they never asked for these accounts and have faced consequences, including credit issues, as a result of it.
Let me talk about that. You've been speaking to people in New Jersey. This is my state, too, and I've been talking to people who said that they had a couple of accounts, but, here you are standing with a woman named Linda Edwards, who was also on Varney and Company this morning, and she said she was most shocked by the fact that she found out she wasn't the only one. Her daughter had been hit with one of these fake accounts, and now her daughter has a harmed credit rating, and she can't get rid of it. You know how hard it is to get these things changed, but we count on our lawmakers to do something about it. Senator, what are you and the Banking Committee going to do about it?
Well, we pressed Mr. Stumpf very hard, and he made commitments under oath before the full committee that they will work to clear up the credit of any person, customer that they harmed, and he's going to look at what type of compensation may be necessary if somebody actually was harmed not only in their credit, but borrowed some money, whether a loan, a mortgage, or whatever, and faced a higher credit a higher cost as a result of the harmed credit. So I also hope the regulators are referring to law enforcement officials, which they have the authority to do, and we're going to continue to pursue this because I'm also concerned about how far in the industry it exists.
Senator, before we let you go, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring this up. Yesterday, some very brave New Jersey police officers, one of them even taking a bullet himself, apprehended the New York, New Jersey bombing suspect, Ahmad Khan Rahmani. 6 of the 8 bombs were planted in your state of New Jersey. Then it turns out that the suspect had taken multiple trips to Pakistan. The FBI had been called about him. Senator, what must happen to flag our law enforcement to keep us safe from potentially dangerous people, including naturalized citizens who leave the country, go to dangerous places where we know people are being radicalized, and then freely come back?
Well, first of all, I want to salute the law enforcement, particularly local law enforcement, because as we learned on September 11th, it's not the federal government that responds in the first instance. It's local police, firefighters, emergency management.
Indeed.
These are tremendously courageous people. As it relates to your broader question, look, this is why I have pushed the sharing of intelligence across our agencies and down through our state and local agencies. And I think when someone like the FBI was told by this father, oh, he's a terrorist, although he recanted it, I don't know that you should so quickly reject it. I think you have to look to the depth of what was going on in that regard.